Aloha and good afternoon. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz, joining you from eTurbo News in Honolulu, Hawaii. And with me is Dr. Peter Tarlow in College Station, Texas. And today is just a beautiful day. I'm so glad to be home after flying all the way back on Thursday from Athens to Frankfurt, Frankfurt to San Francisco, and on. I didn't even want to wait to get on the plane to come to beautiful Honolulu. So I'm home and can enjoy this beautiful blue sky. Yesterday we had a little bit of a tsunami scare, but that really didn't happen. But today it just is a really beautiful day here. So I'm glad I'm here, and I don't know how things are in Texas. I know you had a scare in Texas. You will tell us about, and of course we all know about what happened yesterday, but I'm assuming the weather is nice at least.
The weather is bright and sunny, but it is cold. So yesterday was a very windy day. A matter of fact, I got a call from police around the world saying to me, "Are you okay?" And I thought, that's so strange. They're asking me about the wind. And then they said, no, about the attack in outside of Fort Worth. And I was walking, so I had no idea. You know, I was 200 miles or 360 kilometers from the place where it was taking place. So I had to come in, turn on the television, and discovered that they were having this. It's still unclear exactly what happened, but we do know that this British gentleman went into a synagogue. It's the closest synagogue to the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. And that's another strange thing. We don't know why he wanted the synagogue close to an airport. And it seemed to be a very strange thing. There were thousands of people. They were having Saturday Shabbat services. And because of COVID, they had very few people in the sanctuary. Almost everybody was online, and they were doing live streaming. They had well over 1,000 people on services via streaming, but very few people in the synagogue. And exactly what happened is still unclear. It is very clear that law enforcement did an extremely good job of working together, and that was important. What we don't know is if this was a trial balloon by Al-Qaeda. There have been threats against the United States, or if this was just a nut, just some strange man who did whatever he did. It does not appear, at least right now, but we may discover more right now, that it was really anti-Semitic. A matter of fact, the Muslim community came out really condemning it very hard. And in a sense, that's kind of symbolic because this weekend is Martin Luther King weekend. And that's a weekend when we're all supposed to be taking time to think about how we can work together as no matter what your color of your skin or your ethnicity or your race or your national heritage, how we can each learn to appreciate the other person as a human being. And so all of a sudden, the whole weekend blew up. Of course, if you watch some of the news stations in the United States or in Canada, people were watching all over the world, and it became the #1 topic. So who knows? It might be just a single incident that won't be connected to anything else, or this could be the beginning of a series of terrorism attacks around the world. And were it to be the latter, and let's hope it's not, then that will really impact tourism tremendously, because we're just starting to see the first flowering of recovery, maybe from COVID and from everything that's taking place with the COVID problem. And now the last thing we need is major terrorism that would take place like a 9/11 around the world. So that would set the tourism world back tremendously. Again, we don't know. But interestingly enough, the gentleman who took the hostages at the synagogue, he said to the rabbi, I really feel akin with you and I like you. So most terrorists don't tell the people they capture how much they like them. On the other hand, he was very clear from the beginning that he was going to die. So we don't quite know what happened. We know there was an explosion. We know that there was firing. It's unclear at this moment if he killed himself or if the police killed him. They're not releasing a lot of data. But the big thing is this the beginning of a new terrorism wave? We have not had terrorism for the last 4 or 5 years. and all of a sudden may it be coming back? Or is this a single issue? And let's hope that it's a single issue. Maybe what
And of course, yes, we don't know. I think at this point we shouldn't give that much publicity about a crazy guy who's doing this. And if it's more, of course, it turns into more. So let's be alert what is happening. But it looks like all indications from what I can see, it's really just a guy who is nuts and who did this. And he's definitely not a gentleman. I don't agree with you on that. But
no, I was being just a nice guy. He's not a gentleman.
nice guy. But however, I feel sorry he passed away in this situation, because it looks like to me just something really
It
dumb.
could be. You could be right. We just don't know. And the important thing maybe is law enforcement did a very good job of working together. And very often in situations like this, they trip over each other. Everybody's so anxious to get involved. And in this case, the Texas office of the FBI worked beautifully with the state police and with the municipal police. And so that's a good sign, seeing that we're able to, we've learned something from 9/11 and some of the other cases where the law enforcement people work together incredibly well. The other thing is the hostage people. And that again was practiced from, unfortunately, there'll be other incidents at some point. The people who were dealing with the hostage situation and the psychologists, they did a really good job of maintaining it, getting this guy to be tired, keeping it going for a long time. So good for them. That's really good. Another thing that's happening this
All things I think should work, because our system is designed that law enforcement agencies are working in harmony. And that many times, unfortunately, is not the case. So it looks like everyone learned a little bit. None of the hostages got hurt. So it had a happy ending, except for the guy who instigated it. So I think we can hopefully walk away from it and don't hear about it again. So let's
From your mouth to God's ears.
Because also on Monday is a very special day. We have Martin Luther King Day. And that, of course, stands for civil rights. It stands for discrimination. And I assume maybe that was connected or not connected. I'm not sure, Peter.
We don't know. And the other thing is that tonight, Sunday night, and tomorrow, Monday, is the Jewish holiday of Tu B'Shvat. And I know you always enjoy Jewish holidays. This is the birthday of the trees. It's a holiday. It's a holiday of the New Year of the trees. And you might say, why is there a New Year of the trees? What it really is, it's ecology. It's saying that all of us have a responsibility to take care of the earth, and that we were, as one people, all of us, Jews, Muslims, Christians, Hindus, Buddhists, anybody else I forgot, I apologize, that everyone we share one small planet, and how important it is that we take care of that planet. And so this is really a very important, in tourism, this is a very important issue, because tourism cannot exist without good ecology. And that means we have lots of things we have to talk about. For example, when we go to a hotel, most of us at home do not change towels 3 times a day. But when you go to a hotel, for some reason, one towel is not sufficient to dry you off. You need 5 towels. Now, I don't know why that is, because in your house, you don't need 5 towels. But you know, every time we are using all those towels, they have to be washed. And that means that the water is being polluted because of soap. And tourism is a very high demanding product. So one of the big, I think, themes that we have to look about is how in the tourism world do we provide good service, give people a quality product, but also are respectful of the earth. And we don't pollute the water, we don't pollute the land. We think through, do we really want golf courses in the middle of the desert that are using vast quantities of water we don't have? Or can we come up with drip irrigation so that we don't waste that? So tonight and tomorrow is not only, or tomorrow is not only about Martin Luther King Day, and that we might call the ecology of humanity, but it's also the ecology of the earth. So tomorrow we get the whole package. And that's really what tourism is about. It's about appreciating the other, but preserving the quality of this one planet that we've all been given.
Yeah, and Peter, and it's just a discussion I think we had for several years when it comes to hotels and towels and changing rooms. And now with COVID, this is all kind of shifting. I mean, maybe you call me arrogant or whatever, but I enjoy my 3 or 4 towels and nice fluffy towels because I don't have them at home. I use one towel for several days and then I wash it when it smelled. I'm sorry, you know. So, but in hotels, isn't that wonderful? You go to a hotel, you're in a retreat and you have a nice surrounding. Everything is so clean and gets clean. It's part of, I think, what people pay for to escape and from their daily life. And that is what holidays and vacation and tourism is also about. So just taking all the towels away, maybe there could be, you know, a compromise of some sort.
Well, for example, right now you could have the same amount of towels, but there are ways to electronically clean the towels, which would keep them perfectly clean, but you wouldn't pollute the water. And so
there could be a compromise. You know, also now because of COVID, not only COVID, because we have a shortage in service workers. You don't really get your every day. It's now, unless you demand it, it's maybe cleaned not at all while you're staying there if you only stay for a few days. So is this the right way to do? You know,
well, I think this is where we see innovation. Just like, for example, agriculture used a huge amount of water, and then the Israelis developed drip irrigation so that you can now irrigate large amounts of farmland with very little water. In the same way, I don't think we have to have either or. I understand what you're saying about the luxury of when you travel, you do want something special. You want to feel a little bit like a king, you know, and taken care of. I understand that. On the other hand, why don't we use science and innovation to come up with ways to still let you have clean sheets every day, to have a clean towel every day, but not to pollute the water or not to pollute the land? How can we take the garbage, that is huge amounts of garbage, and turn that into energy and use that energy to power the air conditioning systems?
Absolutely, Peter. That's the compromise I was talking about. It's getting a little bit worse, and I don't know really where we're heading with this. But because of COVID, you know, I just got back from a trip and I stayed in a hotel for almost a month now. And every hotel I was in, when you go to breakfast and you have your breakfast buffet, you have to wear plastic gloves. And everything is in gloves. You know, everything in some parts you don't get to use real glasses. It's also plastic now again.
And that's what's polluting. That's another problem.
In the United States, in many states like here in Hawaii, you pay 10, 15 cents for a plastic bag. And then we're using all this plastic to prevent COVID. Are we really preventing COVID in using plastic gloves?
And on top of that, I don't know about in Hawaii, but in Texas, very often, when you go to a buffet, the first time you go, you wear the plastic gloves. But then the gloves don't fit the second time. So the people at the buffet, when they go back, now they do take a clean plate, but they never use the plastic gloves the second time. So what is it saying is the first time I go to the buffet, I'm going to get you sick if I don't use my plastic gloves. But on the other hand, the second time, I'm not going to get you sick. Now, the other side of that is all that plastic was based on the original concepts of COVID, which we believed, if you remember, that, and everybody believed it, that COVID could be got by touching. So when people would come back from their groceries, they wiped down all the groceries. They had special sprays so that you wouldn't do it. You shouldn't have to touch a supermarket cart, etc. Now we know COVID is an airborne illness. So in reality, all these plastic gloves do no good, but they do harm. And sometimes I think we're just stuck into patterns, and we don't think, when we try to solve one problem, we make another problem worse. And again, tourism cannot survive in a world destroyed. And so we have to figure out really creative ways to get together and to think through what can we do to make the earth a better place. I've just wrote a little analysis, and I pointed out that in the book of Psalms, it says the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. In other words, we're just lent this planet for the time we're here. It's our job to pass this planet on to the next generation. And in tourism, that's especially true, because if we have dirt on the city. I don't know if you've seen all the garbage in Los Angeles or San Francisco. People don't want to go. They just don't want to go.
No, absolutely. We run into a completely different issue than also with climate change and other things everyone is talking about. It's definitely, it's maybe to another subject, Peter, in what I noticed, and you remember here at eTurbo News, we had a number of stories about a year ago about the quality of masks people should be wearing.
Yes.
Protect themselves and protect others. And I think I had a very good friend from Germany on this, who's a pharmacist and who is kind of an expert in this field. And he already told us more than a year ago that wearing of a KN or N95 type mask, there's several words for it. Europe has it, they don't call it N95, they call it F something. And in China, they call it KN95. But that these type of masks are quite a bit more effective because different from a surgical mask, they protect yourself and not only others. So, and that was a big subject because at that time in many European countries, it was illegal to go into a building with the surgical mask. And I can tell you, just coming back from Europe, and many of our listeners in Europe will confirm this, the surgical masks are now pretty much illegal. You cannot buy them really anymore. And if you wanted to go into a restaurant, into a building or anywhere, you have to wear the N95. It's the law, but even more important, on a plane. If you want to get on an airplane and boarding a flight in the European Union, for example, you have to wear an N95 mask on the flight at the airport. Now, strangely, once you land in the United States and you change planes, all of these rules are no more. All of a sudden, you're completely okay to wear your surgical masks. I noticed this when I came in on United Airlines from Frankfurt to San Francisco. Everyone was wearing the good mask, the N95, and once I changed planes to Hawaii, no one was wearing N95. Why is this, Peter?
Well, there's a big debate, as you know, in the United States and actually in much of the world over the whole question of masks. There's some people think none of the masks do any good at all, and the whole thing is just a charade. And there are other people who believe that masks are very important. And that's a debate that's going on. I certainly can't answer why Europe has gone one way and the United States another way. It may be questions of cost. The other thing is we're now getting, for the first time, to combine what you're saying with the ecology theme of the day, we're getting mask pollution. In other words, if you walk down the street, you're seeing people throw their masks on the floor, on the ground. They use a lot of plastic again. And again, we don't have a balance. What we really need to do is create a mask that when you're done with it, it dissolves. And so that but we're not using, we're as a society and the tourism world should be leading this effort. We should be coming up with creative ways that people are able to accomplish protecting themselves against COVID and protecting others, but at the same time, not hurting the environment.
What about recycling masks? You think
Pardon?
Recycling masks, like your recycled bottles? You think that might
Well, that would be another, maybe, yes, maybe we could have recycling centers. I've never seen a place where you can throw your mask away to be recycled.
No, I'm saying, wouldn't that be a good idea?
It'd be a great idea. Or some way, either a recycling mask or a mask that somehow dissolves, but some way, because right now we're getting massive pollution. We're going to have a world of mass pollution, and it won't be mass pollution, it'll be mask pollution. So we need to really be thinking through. We don't, as societies, we don't think we're lazy. We just solve one problem, but we don't think about what other problems we create. And so this is really going to be an important chance, I think, for the whole tourism industry to think through not just solving a single problem, but multiple problems at the same time.
Well, Peter, I can say this was an interesting conversation today. Everyone in the United States, I wish a nice Martin Luther King holiday on Monday. The banks are closed, so you can sleep in. And
And have some fruits and vegetables as it's Tu B'Shvat. Everyone should be having lots of fruits and vegetables, which is good against COVID, but it also celebrates ecology.
Yeah, and we have a lot more to the show today. So don't hang up yet and don't walk away, because we're going to hear from Miguel Turruco Marquez. And I probably pronounce it wrong because you speak Spanish and I don't. But he is the Secretary of Tourism in Mexico, and he will be speaking to us. And this was taped yesterday or last night on Saturday at the SCOL General Assembly for the SCOL Club in Mexico. And also our good friend Borkin Turkan, who is the international president of SCOL International, attended and sent us this tape. So listen to this, and if you wanted to listen to our discussion again or to the Secretary of Tourism, just go to our YouTube channel. You find us there, and you find all our events in the past, and you can listen to everything again, because some of these subjects become relevant again. Like, for instance, the one I mentioned about masks. We had this discussion about a year ago, and when CDC had completely different guidelines. Now they turned it around 180%. So how much can you really trust a CDC? I don't know. It's maybe another discussion. But for everyone else, I hope you enjoy your Sunday. Everyone in the United States, enjoy Martin Luther King Day, and save the environment. And let's find a way you can get fresh towels every day without hurting the environment too much. So I like your electronic solution, Peter. And just stay tuned. We'll hear from Miguel now. Miguel, okay. Aloha from Hawaii.
Adios from Texas.
Distinguished fellows of the SCOL International community, the most influential network on travel and tourism, who are gathering here today from all around the world. I am Miguel Torruco Marquez, Minister of Tourism of the Mexican government, and also an old friend of this association that treasures its highly experienced network on an industry that we all feel passionate about. But more importantly, it has maintained its most important spirit of a friendship and collaboration for more than 85 years now. First of all, I would like to welcome all of you to Mexico, one of the friendliest countries that year after year receive millions of visitors to every corner of our beautiful mosaic of destination, unique natural, historic, and man-made attractions, but most importantly, experiences the welcoming warmth of our people. Playa Mujeres is just an example of this many magnificent place we have for our visitors. I also would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Bursin Turkan, President of SCOL International, for her efficient work in the service of all the distinguished members that you always empower with passion, as well as your strategic and warm direction you lead for the benefit of our tourism industry. Please enjoy your stay and have fruitful conclusions and strategies through the workshop you will have over the next few days. A great contribution for this 2022 year and beyond. It is with a great pleasure that I welcome all of you to Mexico once again and wishing you all to come back many times. Enjoy Mexico, enjoy our friendship, and enjoy sharing with so many well-achieved experts of the industry at the Skull community. Hope you all will have a memorable 2022. See you soon.